In this strange and ever-curious world, there exist phenomena so baffling, so unnatural, that they defy all logic and evolutionary understanding. Enter Barbieland, a curious matriarchal society teeming with hyper-stylized plasticine inhabitants known as Barbies. These peculiar, ever-smiling creatures exhibit a rigid social order in which each female is assigned a fantastical profession: pilot, physicist, street mason, and even Supreme Court judge, all while maintaining flawless hair and a suspicious lack of reproductive organs. And in a twist on most hierarchies in the animal kingdom, roaming the peripheries of this ecosystem, largely shirtless and emotionally fragile, are the lesser-known subspecies, collectively known as Kens. These simple, decorative males seem to serve little function beyond petty beach loitering, mild peacocking, and dramatic jazz hand-based mating rituals, often simply looking pretty and greeting each other with passive-aggressive false cheer. Yet these sexually subordinate, excitable males soon begin to display patterns of behaviors that are much more familiar to our way of life, as they compete for the attention of the main blonde bimbo Barbie, who appears to be the most desired of all the females, and thus treated as the queen of this realm. Some are not so successful. These Kens also attempt to court the females through gyrating displays of timed rhythm, known here colloquially as fucking cringe dancing, soon thrusting their sequined hips and making silly expressions, whilst the multicolored Barbies totally ignore their efforts and laugh in their plastic faces. But their set's a problem, as not all is pink in paradise. For the main blonde bimbo Barbie is rather alarmingly malfunctioning. It seems this poor creature has suffered some sort of existential crisis, known in scientific terms as a full-on fucking meltdown, and has recently even developed physical afflictions such as potent halitosis and even flat hooves. Naturally, the other members of the Barbie colony begin to shun their malfunctioning chum and soon send her to seek further health advice from an exiled member of the colony who has also experienced the same infirmities. Here she seeks counsel from the oracle-like, batshit crazy weirdo Barbie, who, in order to better understand the nature of her being, is promptly encouraged to embark on a pilgrimage to visit a colony of a similar species, which they called humans, who have made their nest in the legendary habitat known as the real world. But before she can set off, the relentless blonde Ken, who previously gave her the ick by crashing into cardboard waves, pops up in her pink rear and insists on accompanying his queen to the real world. Scientists think there are few possible reasons for his escort, possibly because humans are known to be a dangerous species, perhaps because he's unconsciously engaging in ingrained patronizing microaggressions and misguided white knighting, or possibly because he really just wants to get his end away. The pair then travel through a wormhole of visual nonsense and roller skates until they arrive in a strange and foreign world, one in which the males do the manual labor and also sexually harass the pretty females on small roller skates. It is here that the roles reverse, for in the human land, it is the men who are in charge of the overall social makeup, and you can tell this because the landscape is no longer insufferably pink, nor as plastically fake and glossily manufactured. Here, poor Barbie is soon confronted with harassment, objectification, and existential dread. Meanwhile, Ken discovers the intoxicating thrill of what is colloquially known in this realm as patriarchy, and as this bewildered Ken soon discovers, he has now entered an upside-down inverted top G world, where the men have the courage to take charge of social avenues like politics and currency, whilst also dominating the realms of leisure and sports. Whilst over in an educational institution where juvenile members of the species gain knowledge of and are trained in the art of combating social injustice by labeling everyone they don't like a raging fascist, the main blonde bimbo Barbie soon meets her owner IRL and is indeed labeled a raging fascist, which causes fluids to seep from her eyes and her emotional shape to deteriorate. Luckily for her, she is then picked up and consoled by a middle-aged Caucasian human with humorous bushy hair and the temperament of an immature preteen. But there's a problem. For this male human wishes to place this Barbie into a box and thereby ship her back to her point of origin, and not wanting to return too soon, and before she can identify and correct the causes of her ailments, she uses her womanly wiles to outsmart the dopey males and escape into a vehicle of her real-world school-ground bully. Now, in the vast tapestry of existence, few journeys are as peculiar as that of our intrepid plastic protagonists. Having narrowly evaded the clutches of the bumbling Homo sapiens corporate overlord, Barbie finds herself in the company of Gloria and her offspring Sasha. Together they embark on a vehicular odyssey back to the saccharine utopia of Barbieland. As they traverse the asphalt arteries of the human realm, one can't help but marvel at the irony. A doll once confined to the imaginative whims of children, now commandeering her own destiny with the aid of two humans. It's truly a symbiotic relationship that Darwin himself might have pondered over tea. Anyway, having absorbed enough Joe Rogan-adjacent energy to power a monster truck rally, Ken returns to Barbieland and performs a hostile cultural takeover. Barbie arrives shortly after to find her peaceful home now transformed into Kendom, a Budweiser-scented man cave, complete with faux leather recliners and an inexplicable obsession with The Godfather. The once stunningly brave and diverse boss bitch Barbies, now having been brainwashed by repeated exposure to mansplaining and acoustic guitar ballads, no longer exhibit leadership skills, autonomy, or even the will to interrupt. Once paragons of empowerment, they have been subjugated into roles of domestic servitude and ornamental existence. It's as if the vibrant plumage of a peacock has been plucked, leaving behind a rather pitiable pigeon. But in a final act of collective resilience, the Barbies and their new human friends mount a counter-offensive, using one of the most powerful tactics known to womankind, pretending to be interested in a man's opinions until he self-destructs from delusion. The strategy is, of course, devastatingly effective. Cutesy Ken, dejected and confused by the notion of individual identity, is promptly consoled by the main blonde bimbo Barbie, who gently suggests he perhaps instead develop a personality, preferably one that doesn't revolve entirely around abs and emotional neediness, and perhaps also a depth of character, where one no longer thinks feminism is in fact simply a flavor of ice cream. And so balance is soon restored. Our Barbs, having wrestled with existentialism, gender roles, mortality, and of course the questionable ethics of Mattel boardrooms, soon meets with her geriatric maker and ultimately chooses to leave Barbieland forever in order to become a bona fide human being, where she now gets to experience the full range of the human condition, including warts, periods, and presumably super itchy hemorrhoids. The final scenes show Barbie stepping boldly into the real world, free of plastic patriarchy and those impossibly arched feet. With a newfound sense of purpose and genitals pending verification, she makes her way into the bustling landscape of human society. And at last she utters a line that echoes across the annals of cinema history, not with a bang but with a confident pelvic floor. "I'm here to see my gynecologist." A sentence so raw, so honest, one can only assume she's finally achieved what every Barbie dreams of: reproductive relevance. And thus ends her journey from synthetic icon to cervix-ready citizen. Until next time, I've been Sir David Attenborough, and this has been absolutely fucking bonkers.